In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donohue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defying feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, oak tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although oak tree no longer stands, nor does Hog Pen turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist. And the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land, for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.
Paul Newman called it heaven on earth. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway for the Washington, D.C. region SCCA Virtual Racing League. I'm Kyle Heyer. I'll be joined by Finian DeCuna tonight for round 3 of the 2023 spring season here at this famous, long, twisting, and winding racetrack in Alton, Virginia. Over 50 cars tonight will adorn the grid for 3 sprint races, taking us through the end of our 3rd round after kicking things off on the East Coast at Watkins Glen and the West Coast at Sonoma. We're back here in Virginia, hometown territory for all the drivers here in the field tonight, all SCCA members of the D.C. region. Hi, everybody, and welcome aboard. Great scenes here at Virginia International Raceway. This is a new laser scan here. iRacing has rescanned Virginia International Raceway, and as you see there, that means no longer is Oak Tree down at turns 11 and 12. It is gone now, and now in its place, a grassy field as around here in the trees lining Virginia. We'll head down to the racetrack here and bring it to you. Qualifying already underway for the first of our 3 races. 10, 10, and 15 minutes is our race distances tonight. Of course, looking at the beautiful undulating area that's called roller coaster. Green and yellow curbs, part of the new additions, as well as some runoff areas in a couple particular corners, including at the exit of NASCAR and at the exit of the Oak Tree corner. Track temps hot, 107 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a characteristic that is carried over from the prior version here on iRacing. A hot racetrack and a nice sunny day at virtual Virginia International Raceway. Qualifying underway, and many familiar names here joining us this afternoon. Here's a good look at DJ Alessandrini, the number 61. He heads down the hill, down through roller coaster to set up for his first timed lap. And I mentioned that there were over 50 cars. We are closing in on 60 as we get ourselves into qualifying. It's going to be a frantic night. Qualifying in particular going to be incredibly important. Here's Alessandrini. His first lap was an out lap here. Let's see what lap number 2 will hold for DJ, and that number 61. Across the board, a 2:07.004 will put him to the top for the time being. Ken Ausil goes second quick. Rob Casera returns to WDCR SCCA action in 3rd. Anthony Montello 4th, and it's going to be a whole lot of positions changing. It's going to be very close at the top of the board. It is a field that is absolutely jammed full of prior and present participants in the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. Some names we haven't seen in a while. We've got Justin and Jameson Huffman back this week. Chris Lapras, Pax Rolf is back. Francois Brou, Trent McMillian, and many, many more. Camden Gruber is returning to action after being gone for a little while. We've seen him in this series, but it's Been a while since we've said his name with frequency. He rolls through Oak Tree now, a little bit less adorned than it was a couple of years ago. 33 drivers have already laid down times. It is incredibly close. Right now, there is just 1 second between first and 15th place Adam Kobach. There's Adam now climbing S's here at VAR right on board. And we're using the brand new Toyota GR86 Cup car. About 228 horsepower to the rear wheels from a 2.4-liter Boxer 4-cylinder. And these cars don't make a lot of power, but what they don't have in power, they make up for in handling, especially carving corners. The challenge that everyone's been fighting is off-throttle braking, trail braking, and downshifting. Even with the sequential transmission, the SADEV 6-speed, it has been a challenge to get these things slowed down and turned in at the same time. We'll likely see some more drivers have issues with that here this evening. There's Chris Lapras, the number 15, rounding Oak Tree and heading up the very long back straightaway here at Virginia International Raceway. Finney DeCuna joins me now. Finney, welcome aboard. This is a field that is packed full. Nearly 60 cars in this tonight for 3 quick sprint races. I don't think I could express with any more vigor how important qualifying is tonight.
Oh, yeah, especially at a track like VAR, which you and me both know from recent experience is extremely hard to pass at. Yeah, you're definitely gonna need to have a really good qualifying effort, because you also don't have a lot of time, right? You don't have an hour, you don't have an hour 30 minutes, you have 3 hours. You only got 10 minutes for 2 races, and then you got 15 minutes for the third. So as much progress as you can make, I think a lot of progress is gonna come from attrition, particularly in some tight parts of the corner, considering how narrow this track is. Even with as small of a car that the Toyota GR86 is, there's still not a whole lot of room on this racetrack.
Well, here's a couple concerns I have for tonight. A, my poor computer. This is going to be a real tough one this evening. This track features some new technology in the iRacing world. You can see them in the background, the speed trees, they call them, which is a faster way for iRacing to add trees where they're supposed to be on the racetrack. They are much higher quality, as you saw in the B-roll here. If I skip around to some of the moments, look at that. I mean, it looks amazing, but certainly has some performance impacts, especially when you've got 60 cars taking the green flag. So I hope, for my sake, that goes well. And it's actually a consideration for the competitors as well, Finney. And having a nice, smooth simulation is pretty important to having a good time, as you saw just last weekend running here in the sim.
Yeah, I was going to say I had some issues where I had to turn trackside objects down, because it wasn't really too much of an issue at some of the newer tracks. VR in particular just seems to completely chug, and I have a dirty feeling it's due to a lot of the trees. And I think potentially some of the new buildings, because even the built trackside buildings like the hotels and villas you can rent around here, they'll also look very nice. So that might also contribute. This track looks beautiful, but man, does it demand a lot to make it look beautiful.
It really does look the part. It is an exceptional job by iRacing. This is one of the tracks that needed the most attention as far as getting an update was concerned, and happy to finally have it, although the drawback is, of course, performance. And it wouldn't be such a huge deal if there weren't such a huge field here tonight. Nearly 60 drivers. That's a great thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We have incredibly close competition at the top of the field. We have 11 drivers within a second, but look, you have to look down to 31st to find the first person that's 2 seconds off. That's how close it is. Rob Casera joins us back again this week here, finishing up to 6th for the 177.
Yeah, good to see him back, and also doing particularly well. We'll see you. Well, there are familiar names near the top: Burkhardt, Patrick, Ausiel, Pilata, Alessandrini. Your top 5. I'm trying to look if there's anyone I think missing. Schooler not doing particularly hot. Back down in 8th. That's not the worst starting position, but I think we would expect him to be just a little bit higher, especially considering his performance recently has been particularly well.
Andrew Wozencroft heading up the back straightaway down in 42nd place, and you look down on that graphic on your iRacing simulator and you see that you're 42nd for the start of a 10-minute race. That is a sinking feeling. It is. There's a lot of dread, I'm sure, felt by basically everyone from 25th on back. And here's the crazy thing: you'd be 30th and be midfield.
Yeah, that's another terrifying thought, considering there's some racing series in the world that don't even have 30 cars starting on the grid. I mean, even 60 cars. Most racing series don't have 60 cars.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible and really exciting, actually, is trying to get this camera file downloaded. It was here to be updating.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, I got it. We're doing great. I just had to find it in a different location. So let's get that loaded up and get ourselves set for what is surely going to be a very exciting race. 10 minutes, though, what that means is that we're likely going to have a lot of incidents, and just to keep things focused on the action, we're going to mark them and come back to them later. So if you see a crash on the start that we don't get to, no fret. We'll jump back to it at some point a little bit later in the evening. So 10 minutes is about 5 laps here at VIR, and again, as I mentioned, if you're starting pretty deep in the field, Finian, it is going to be a pretty frantic drive. The field, where are they kicking things off? They're starting on the back straightaway now, and we'll get a look at them here in just a moment. A little bit farther up. We can't quite get them in shot there, actually, but
no, I didn't place the camera there. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Well,
a little oversight there.
Well, here's what we can do. We can look on the back of Ken Houseal's car and see the field lining up in tow for this very exciting 10-minute event. So let's get through the starting lineup. I'm just going to scroll them through. Let's not even try to keep up with all 60 and a half a pace lap here, Finian. But we will show you the starting lineup on the bottom of the screen and mention a couple as they scroll by. Caleb Patry, a good starting point with his teammate on that front row. And again, you mentioned Schooler down the order a little bit in row number 4. That's going to be a little bit of work for Schooler to make up some ground.
I'm just realizing it's been a long time since I've had a scroll on ATVO,
yes,
considering how much screen real estate we have.
And what we mean is our timing screen has a scroll bar, which is not typically the case given the field sizes. We can generally get about 45 cars on screen, but we have to scroll. There's a whole other field below that. As we get down, here's Peter Zhang running down in 19th place tonight. He had a good run at Sonoma. Jack Chrissy, 22nd. That's about a third of the way down the field as now they begin rolling and start heading up towards Roller Coaster, which is a really challenging corner in its own right, but a great passing opportunity as well, Finian.
Yeah, and also some other notable drivers. Chris Harp starting 21st, Kevin Zhu 31st, Francois Brou starting 32nd, Peter Lausen 34th. Quite a few familiar. Ryan Carwell 36, Kyle Hurst 37. A lot of familiar names near the back of the order. So they got a long line ahead of them.
Heading over Roller Coaster down the hill, and then towards Hog Pen. That's turn number 17. Here's a look as the field rolls down the hill here. I don't even know if they'll have enough time to get everyone on the front straight. That's 30 rows of cars.
They still have guys heading towards Roller Coaster FYI. They're still coming through.
I mean, this is insanity.
That's a shot.
I think I have some LODs turned off as well, so we won't even see them all, which might be a good thing for the system. But all that aside, it is a huge field here for round 3 of the Washington, D.C. region SCCA Virtual Racing League. Thanks for joining us. 3 races tonight, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and 15 minutes. It all kicks off in just a moment as Morgan Burkhardt and Caleb Patry bring the field over the crest on the front straightaway. It's going to be a frantic 5 laps worth of action at this 17-turn circuit in Alton, Virginia. Here they come up over the crest and waiting for the green flag. There it is. Green flag flies, and we're racing at VIR. And here they come into view now. All 60 competitors down into turn 1. So far, so good, Finian, but it's going to be a long way till we know how things are going to pan out.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the most part, I'm actually kind of amazed that everyone made it through there in one piece, especially because it's so easy to catch some grass here and spin out. It's going to be a big thing to watch out for as the field funnels down through the tightest parts of the track in Sector 1.
Into NASCAR, then the left hook. And so far, so good. Really impressed with this so far. And now there's one car in the background taking a hit as we head up into Snake. And now you're on throttle here, Finian, and you're not going to let off for a long time, not all the way until you get to Oak Tree. Although the corner no longer bears the plant matter that gave it its name. Uh-oh, there they go. Down in Snake, there's a couple cars having some issues. Mark Labance is one, and as I mentioned, we'll go back and look at...
Neil Waxman as well, also involved in that.
Yeah, we'll go back and look at that a little bit later in the evening, but here they come down into Oak Tree for the first time.
It's pretty no longer there, and it allows us to get some fantastic sight lines through there, although everyone still misses the tree deep down. The leader's single file for the most part. I think everyone singled up pretty much after Snake. You can see guys still approaching Oak Tree in the background.
What a sight to behold here at VIR, heading up the back straightaway. I mentioned a passing opportunity into Roller Coaster. Here's Anthony Montello in the 268. Mitch Marhefka to his inside. That's the 27 car. And then behind them, Bob Casera and Michael Montello fighting for positions.
Watching the leaders bum drafting down towards roller coaster on this straightaway, trying to use everything they can to make up speed. You see, whoa, car getting sideways.
That was Montello gathering it up, and there's one car spun. That's Andrew Chow. And here comes, I think that's the 16 car. Yes, Bob Casera carving his way through, bouncing off of Marhefka and goes wide here at Hog Pen. Through the inside comes, I think that was Kobach in the 85 that snuck his way down the inside.
I really hope Bob Casera didn't have anything valuable in the trunk, because that entire rear end is smashed in a foot or two.
Well, there's not a lot of trunk back there on a GR86 anyway, so there's that to look forward to.
Well, there's a lot less now.
Yeah, Ken Seal up the inside for second, trying to split the teammates up. Andrew Pilata trying to do the same. Yeah,
the teammates up there trying to work very well. As I mentioned, they're bump drafting down the long straightaway here, trying to make up ground. Seal trying to spoil the party with Pilata and Casera in behind.
I imagine we'll see a little bit of cooperation here up front for the time being, as they try to kind of establish a breakaway. Behind them, though, a little bit of fighting. Peter Zhang in the 28. Giancarlo Schooler is actually clear of this, so it's Darren Treacle, Shrivastava, Azmat Mohammed, Peter Zhang in this group. And then there's Anthony Montello.
Azmat Mohammed, speaking of which, he had a big incident in turn 4, went a little drifting sideways, lost a few spots with Shrivastava Montello taking advantage of that.
Montello up to 13th. That's where he started, but fell back initially. Up into South Bend here at the top of the hill. You mentioned the sight lines. It helps the drivers, too. There's not really a lot more. It's still kind of a blind corner because it's out of the right corner of your vehicle, and the A-pillar can sometimes block it, but no longer do you have the shade or the tree obscuring what's down there before you arrive to the corner, which could help drivers out. Here's a big run on Shrivastava that Montello's got. He's going to pop out to driver's left.
And a huge head full of steam over the 87. He's actually going to clear him by the time they head down a roller coaster. So an easy pass done. And you can see Azmat Mohammed trying to do the same. Can't quite get there. And Shrivastava's going to outbreak him.
And Adam Kobach in the 85. Following, Jack Chrissie's number 6. He started 22nd up to 17th. Michael Montello, 16th. And some trouble behind. Andrew Lunsford in the 3 has gone off at roller coaster. Here's what happened here.
Yeah, heading down into there, fighting alongside Kevin Zhu. You have the 243, you see them getting into there tight, and then a little bit of a tap from Kevin.
Yeah, that was tight down there. I'm not really sure I could put that on anybody in particular. They just kind of converged. Look at Marhefka making moves to the outside of Azmat Mohammed down into turn 1, and Michael Montello, that's that red number 7. He's going to sneak up the inside. What a gaggle down here at turn 1.
Yeah, big gaggle. I'm sure these guys like to sort themselves out. By the time they get to Snake, that's definitely single car through there. Whoa, Mohammed and the 7 of Marhefka got a door.
And a long ride into the tire bundles here. If you get off track, it is a bad day, and so it is for Patry. One of their front runners is off at Snake.
This is an interesting corner. Oh, yeah, it helps from his teammate, Morgan Berhart, who went sliding through there, made contact, and Patrick got the worst end of it.
Oh, man. That is worst case scenario for their race team, and he's going to drop down the order. Alessandrini, and look at this battle for the lead. Morgan Burkhardt and Ken Seal to the point.
Look at this guy. There's 2x2x2 down into turn.
Burkhardt's off. So is Pilata. They got together nose to tail, and they got it under control, but Alessandrini's going to go the long way around and try to pick up a few.
And these guys doing a little bit of rally crossing as they head through here, through Oak Tree, even some of them catching dirt. You see some of them on the grass, just trying to get a better run on the straightaway.
Colin Dana, Rob Casera, Christopher Lapras in this group. Then you see Giancarlo Schooler in the backdrop here. He started 8th. He still is 8th, but he's kind of alone trying to run down this pack. And you see a huge single file group behind them. That's led by Darren Treacle in the number 70.
And you see side-by-side action. Casera, Lapras duking it out, as well as up ahead Pilata and Alessandrini dueling for 3rd place. It's going to be Pilata that wins for 3rd place.
Lapras gets...
And Lapras
got elbowed.
Getting run off the road.
Yeah, Casera gave him the elbows down the hill. They came together once or twice and almost knocked 177 and the 15 off course, but they did manage to gather it back up as Montello and Marhefka go right back to battling, and Michael Montello has gone off at roller coaster.
It is really tough when you go off into the grass here with iRacing's grass update. Considering there's so much grass around this track, you catch a little bit, you're going to be off and you're going to lose quite a few seconds, valuable seconds, considering how many cars are here that can pass you.
And back up to the lead, Ken Ausiel to the inside of Morgan Burkhardt into NASCAR. Has some overlap, and you mentioned the grass. It also kind of cambers away from the circuit, so once you go off course, not only is the grass helping you slide away, so is gravity. It's just really hard to recover. There's not a lot of pavement runoff here. They added some in NASCAR, added some in roller coaster, but it's about a car width worth and not really where you need it, which is really some of the first sector.
Does definitely help, though, especially compared to the old version of VAR. I'm sure these drivers are happy. There's just a little bit of extra runoff, but like you said, it's not a whole lot.
Morgan Burkhardt pushing Ken Ausiel now up into the S's here at VIR, the climbing S's.
And through they go, now into the left-hander. They were side by side a lap or two ago. Single file for the moment. You see Pilota searching, trying to find some line through, but it's going to be a little bit patient. I think for a lot of these guys, the best chance is here on the straightaway heading to roller coaster.
I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more incidents down there at roller coaster, just because this car has been, that we saw last week at Sonoma, has been extremely challenging on the brakes when you're trying to turn in. The trail braking especially gets these cars really upset. At Sonoma, they were a huge handful on curbs as well. And what are you doing here at roller coaster? Drilling curbs and slowing down. And so far, we haven't really seen it be a trouble spot like we saw a lot of similar corners at Sonoma. Here's a big trouble for Justin Huffman. And
how did he do that?
Have to go back and look at this one. Oh, he gets tagged at the tail end of another incident. And then, pow, wow. Holy cow, he went for a ride.
One way to go out.
Say. Watch what happens here to Huffman. Whoop. And another competitor rolls over behind him.
The battle for third heating up, or sorry, should I say battle for second between Ausiel and Pilota. They're drag racing down towards turn one. Burkhardt working the windows, white flags in the air.
Yeah, quick races here. Remember, only 10 minutes. Ausiel has Pilota on the outside. Alessandrini's to the inside here at Horseshoe. Sees an opportunity to get up into third. And I think that's a great spot to be here on the last lap at VIR. We'll see how they do. But Burkhardt and Ausiel right now are probably in the best spot of anybody, leading and in the spot right behind the leader.
They make their way on through here. Shouldn't be too much action here through the left and then through the right-hander heading up to Snake, but you can really set up a good run through this corner if you do. But I'm curious to see anyone dare to go side by side through the S's.
I think it's too early, but you have to really get a good run at the exit of Oak Tree to take full advantage of the 228 horsepower Boxer 4. They don't make a lot of torque, so you have to get your speed from mid-corner. And it is a challenging complex down there at turns 12 and 13. Right now, they're all playing ball together, Finian, but for how much longer?
Not much. I mean, they only got basically half a lap to go through Oak Tree now, mostly single file, and this is the key part, is getting that run through the corner and nailing the apex just right so you don't lose a lot of momentum. I see Christopher Lappers in the back swerving around, carrying as much speed as possible.
Ausiel's going to have a good run here, and it's about 3/10 back to Pilota. So here he comes, Ken Ausiel for the race lead, side by side.
Is it enough of a run, though? He's going to barely be ahead. Ideally, you want to be clear of the 40 by the time they get there. It's going to bear it to the left just a little bit. That might be enough for him to clear the 48. He will not.
Oh.
Burkhardt will barely have a quarter panel side by side. Burkhardt almost doors Ausiel. They make a little bit of contact, but Ausiel's going to clear.
Hogpen now is all that's remaining. The left-hand sweep down here into turn 17, into Hogpen. Burkhardt gets a good run, but is it enough back to the stripe? There's a lap car ahead of them. The field comes out of turn 17. There's a battle. Alessandrini's trying to defend. Checkered flag waving. It's a long run to the stripe. Here comes Ken Ausiel. Last lap pass. Ausiel gets it done in race one.
Oh, and side by side behind them as well. Kucera barely winning out over Lapras as more cars come to the finish.
Oh, there's going to be a lot more cars coming to the finish. We'll take you through. I don't even know what to focus on. There's so many cars running like this. This is what, oh, I love this livery. This Jelly Belly car and Ryan Daner. Ryan Daner's machine. Felix Borodady and Asmaf Mohammed, who's nursing back that very damaged number 2. Don't think he'll beat him in a drag race, but he's got Peter Lausen hunting behind as well.
At the very least, he's got very efficient cooling to that engine.
They need that, I'll tell you what. Here comes the 17.
It's just going to be the 17 Lausen at the line.
Rolling down the list. Here's another little battle back here for 46th. Carlos Pratt, Tim Saunders, and Andrew Chow, who's leading the fight there in the Mario Kart.
I was going to say, these guys not giving up, even if it is for 42nd, 45th in this case. These guys still fighting hard.
And Tim Saunders has gone backwards a whole lot of spots. And of that race, we had 58 starters. Only 6 didn't finish. I'd say that's a pretty good ratio, all things considered, Finney. But here's this run of the line. Saunders on Pratt to the stripe for 45th place.
Oh, and at 37's gonna. I think he got him.
Pratt got him by 7 thousandths.
Whew.
Close. Man. I hope everyone was paying attention to the finishing results, because that's all the time we have to look at them in these heat events. But deep breath. What a drive by everybody to get that done. Here's a quick look, at least at your top 10. Darren Treacle snuck in there at the very end, got a top 10. Alessandrini holds on to 4th by a 10th of a second. Robert Casera in the 177. Lapra, Schooler, Stang, and Treacle the rest of the running order. Here's 20th. What an interesting fight up front, though, Finney. It comes down to heading into roller coaster. Then you have, it's not a one and done like it would be in a prototype or GT car. You get to roller coaster and you still got to race down it.
Yeah, still got to race down it. There's a couple corners where the guy in behind, he has a chance of fighting back if he times it and gets enough momentum going. Can potentially switch back on his opponent in the lead. I'm just amazed at how tight the leaders were. There was, what, 8, 9 cars racing to the line, nose to tail. It was pretty close.
And I imagine it'll be close in race number 2 as well. That's going to kick off here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You've joined us for the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League round number 3 from VIR. And again, new scenes here at VIR because of the new laser scan of the circuit. We've had a great look at these, Finney, and it really is well done visually, and glad to finally have some fresh perspective on this great North American road racing circuit.
Yeah, it really is nicely done, especially up to iRacing's modern standards, too. It makes it just look that much better. Considering the old version came out, I think actually it was a launch track, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. So here's a fun fact. So iRacing gives every track that they launch and release an ID number, and that includes track layouts, by the way. Guess what number VIR is in their I should preface that by the ID number is in the order that the track was built by iRacing. Take a guess at what number VIR was.
3.
Higher than that.
7.
Or sorry, lower, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, lower.
2?
2. Track
okay,
ID
I was going to say,
2.
because I'm pretty sure Summit Point or Lime Rock will be 1.
Yes, so Lime Rock is number 1. And
okay.
VIR, or the original Lime Rock, and the original VIR was number 2. Now, guess what it is now?
Ah, darn, there's been so much stuff. 200 something?
Higher.
Oh, God. Like a lot higher?
A lot higher.
300 something?
Higher.
Oh, God. 400 something?
Yes, but higher.
450?
468.
Whew.
That is how many track layouts iRacing has. And this isn't even the newest piece of content either.
No, yeah.
There is almost 500 track layouts in iRacing that are unique.
Good God. I just would, what I would love for them to do is add Paul Ricard and then add every single layout from Paul Ricard. That add at least 50 to that number.
So, in terms of your starting lineup, we'll give it to you on the left-hand side of the screen this time. And here is a look at that. All running the Toyota GR86 Schooler. Lapras, Casera, Daner, Alessandrini, Pilata, Burkhardt, and Ken Ausile. If you're wondering why those top 8 are inverted, that's the strategy tonight. Top 8 inverted for this one, but race 2 is going to directly set the starting lineup for race number 3. That's our 15-minute points-paying race. So if there's any consolation for those that had trouble in race 1, Pax Rolf, Chris Harp, Waxman, the consolation is that that was not for points. Only race 3 is, so they have all of race 2 to make it back up. Time to go racing. Race 2 is also 10 minutes, also a 5-lapper here. And in command is Giancarlo Schooler, and we are green and racing from VIR.
And all 60 cars still racing down hard into turn 1. With Schooler, as you mentioned, leading them down. Lapras, Casera, your top
contact.
3. Oh, and some contact as Schooler gets punted. More contact in from the drivers in behind.
Oh, this is going to be interesting here. Schooler got uprooted. Lapras to the outside here into NASCAR as the drivers battle behind. Anthony Montello bounces off of Will Robbins into NASCAR turn now. And looks like Schooler's going to hang on to battle for second. Getting hot, though, because here comes Rob Casera's 177.
And here comes Colin Daner also looking for, trying to fight with Lapras, trying to fight with Lapras in the 15 for second place side by side. Some contact, cars spun out in the background.
Anthony Montello goes for a loop. That's a frustrating result for him on lap 1. He had a great run in the first of the 3 races tonight. Look at this side by side just up the road. Mark Shrivastava in the 87 is that Carvana, the blue GR86, leading this pack up the S's.
Yeah, held up Kucera as
Alessandrini.
side by side. Uh-oh, can he hold on to it? Does he get enough room?
Wow.
He does, barely gets enough room to save it, but they're going to... Actually, it's going to be Dana that loses out quite a bit of having to slow down for that.
Yeah, so Alessandrini, I had a similar situation happen to me in an LMP2 race last weekend, and I didn't get a slowdown for cutting the S's after getting punted off track. So I don't think DJ will have to serve any kind of slowdown there, which is going to be hugely helpful for him. Look at this Postal Service car. Aiden Coleman back here in 23rd.
Yeah, someone would argue faster than the Postal Service at the moment.
Solstice is faster than the Postal Service. Up the back straightaway, though.
Side by side.
Yeah, he's got to his outside. That is the 7 of Michael Montello, brother to Anthony. Now, Anthony Montello did get rolling. He's down in 52nd place. If you needed some dejection.
Ken Alceel out in the grass after getting contact with Andrew Pilata.
Peter Zhang goes around off the nose of Alceel.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. Now, and there goes Ken. Now, Zhang, I don't think was really in the wrong there. I have to go back and look at it briefly. But he was coming down the hill. I wonder if Alceel... Oh, no, he was there. So not necessarily on Ken. I thought he had rejoined, but he was already back on the track at that stage.
Yeah, that's what we talk about. This track is so tight, not even just by the width of it, also the racing line, because there's a lot of left-right switchbacks, and the racing line's only so wide. So that's when you get really tight going side by side with some cars, and you can't quite go side by side through some of these corners.
No, that is definitely true. Trent McMillian and Ito Waxman. Ito in the 38 car tonight started 47th in this one. He's already up 9 spots and looking for more here on McMillian and Francois Brou. And it looks like...
Oh, someone just went spinning off. Francois Brou went spinning off.
Yeah, Brou's had some tough luck this season. And more trouble behind them.
For the lead, side by side through the S's. Lapras and Schooler duking it out.
Oh, big slide from Schooler at the top of South Bend. Now contact. Down the hill, they're touched again. These two have been bouncing off each other a couple times, Finian.
I think DJ's waiting for the smoke to settle a little bit so he can sneak his way on through, and he's going to try to drive through Oak Tree and get a run on Schooler, but can't quite get it done, doesn't get a good run off, and Kucera taking advantage of that.
And someone's in the wall in the backdrop. That was Bob Kucera that had an impact at Oak Tree. Just noticed that the Oak Tree button on my camera says Oak Tree RIP.
Yes.
You know how cool that would have looked now that they could do photogrammetry if that tree was still there? How awesome it would look. It would look really cool. And Alessandrini to P3 and wobbling on the brakes. Here comes Robert Kucera. Here's some contact behind, but I think they've sorted it all out.
And for now, Michael Montello side by side with Ryan Carlisle through a roller coaster. Really tight there for second. Ken Alceel also in the mix trying to sneak his way back on through, making up what happened a lap ago.
A little bit deeper in the field, Ed Harris, Peter Lausen. Ryan McRae in the 98 going for a slide. Bad place to come back on course. Nicely done, though. Someone off in the grass there on the front straightaway. I think that is Louis Alessi.
He's gone for quite a ride there.
And back almost to where he started with that slide. Pilata and Alessandrini, and for the lead again. This time Lapras gets it on Schooler.
Yeah, Schooler actually backed out. He wouldn't have the chance of being side-by-side ending to NASCAR, but he actually backed out of it.
2 of our top 5 off at NASCAR.
I was going to say, it's called NASCAR, not Rallycross.
Well, neither of them made a very good left there, so even if it was... Whoa, there goes Marhefka into Snake and into the nose first into the wall. This is just such frantic racing. Hard to keep up with all of it.
It really is hard, especially with the leaders, because normally they're pretty clean and green, but there's been quite a lot of contact and shenanigans going on up there.
That's my context. This shot up the hill here. And here comes Schooler right on the tailpipes of Lapras, who are far from over between these two.
Yeah, these guys have been trying to go at it quite a bit. Alessandrini's been setting in the wings quietly in third. Definitely don't count him out. Sure, come the final lap, he'll make a move as Lapras is almost drifting out of Oak Tree trying to get the power down.
Never count out DJ in pretty much anything when it comes to sim racing. We've learned that a number of times over the years. And we mentioned last week at Sonoma that, you know, this car really hasn't clicked with him in a way. Like, he's been good in it, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't been dominant like he had been when we run the ND version MX-5. And DJ said this car drives like a hovercraft, and he's going to hovercraft right by Giancarlo Schooler, but it's denied the spot.
Tried overshot it a little bit, and Schooler had the preferred line, going to take it on through. And here comes Burkhart now, trying to make a move on Alessandrini side by side through the final few corners. Tough to go side by side through here, but Burkhart's going to make it through. Potentially have a run back on him on the front straightaway.
Nice crossover. DJ shuts the door. Will force the 48 around the outside this time.
Going to make him go the long way, which is, you know, technically to front straightaway, although it's not really straight, a little bit curved.
And into turn one. Again, the braking is so challenging in these cars. Morgan's going to try to go around the outside, but the horseshoe is a double apex right-hander. And, oh, I thought that was the leader for a second. It is not.
Lap car, Bob Pizzero.
Had an issue over at Oak Tree. That's why he was down a lap. Matthew Morehart, Adam Kovac trading positions. That's for 15th place.
Holy cow, there was one car up on its roof a few moments ago.
On more, Louis Alessi in turn one.
Oh, there they go, more contact. Oof.
It looks so awkward when people get off track because the grass is so slippery. It's like,
it looks like they've forgotten how to drive when they go on the grass.
It's like greasing yourself up and trying to run across a tiled floor. It just doesn't work very well. Up the climbing S's, will be coming to the white flag next time by. And look at this gaggle here into turn 4.
Yeah, if it hasn't already heated up, it's definitely going to start heating up now. As they come down to the white flag, we saw, again, a little bit racy on the white flag lap. He's got some, in general, just him looking a lot more racy in race number 2 here.
56th to 30th. He's passed 26 cars and still barely inside the top 30.
Really, really impressive job, even though, like you mentioned, he's not gone too terribly far as he would like, I would say.
Oh, boy, that got dicey heading up the S's. Just got to get tucked in line and kind of cooperate a little bit when there's so many cars on track. But
And we mentioned Ito Walksman earlier, too. He's also had a pretty impressive climb from 47th to 23rd.
Another really good showing for him. Through roller coaster for the leaders. Alessandrini, if he could just get by Schooler, he put himself in a great spot to run Lapras down. He's setting up Hawk Pen here, and he's going to have a great run here at second. Schooler will likely defend this.
Yeah, he backed up that corner so much, Burkhart almost rear-ended him because he was trying to get the run on the straightaway here, and he's got the run. White flag in the air. One more lap for the leaders in race number 2.
Alessandrini jukes left. Schooler stays defensive on the right. And Schooler goes for the lead on Lapras. Oh, they touch!
Oh, he's going to spin. He's going to spin, try to break. Almost taps DJ.
Boy.
And he's going to tap. Not sure who that was when they're flying around.
Morgan Burkhart.
Patry.
I think it was the 48. All three of them are right there, but the 48 was the one that was sideways. Darren Trika will take advantage of it, grab a couple spots there in the number 70. But that will turn DJ over into second place, chasing Christopher Lapras. I don't think DJ has won a race yet this season.
Yeah, I was going to say, that entire turn 1 went horribly wrong for that team. Delta Sport, all three of those cars got taken out of the leading positions and into one another, which is exactly what you don't want. Here comes Lapras, though, with DJ in hot pursuit.
Going to get really dicey here, heading down into Oak Tree. DJ's going to wait, and he knows how this is played. But it all comes down to, I mean, this is very similar. Think about Road Atlanta 10A and 10B. You know you have to get alongside in one of those two corners, but the pass is really made in one on the outside of 11 and 12 at Road Atlanta. Same thing here. I think you can get alongside at Roller Coaster, but you're going to win it heading down the hill.
We'll see what DJ's going to do. Lapras got a decent run out of the corner. Now DJ taking advantage of the slipstream, closing, gaining, and closing more. He's going to now look to the left-hand side. Lapras is going to defend on the right-hand side. It's a drag race for these guys.
Yeah, he's got a really good run, though. He's not quite going to clear him, but he should be sufficiently alongside.
Oh, he might, actually.
Into turn 14 here, and contact!
Oh.
And here comes
Robert Kucera going to sneak his way on through as the leaders make contact. As the smoke clears, he will take the lead.
Wow. It's by both of them as they collide, and that will let Rob Kucera sneak on through and pick up a checkered flag here, provided he can get back to the stripe. There were some dramas in the background with Colin Daner. We'll have to check in on that. Going to bookmark that real quick. Bear with me. We'll go back to the lead here as they come across the stripe. And Robert Casera, DJ Alessandrini, Christopher Lapra's top 3 teammates side by side to the stripe there. And now for 11th, Kevin Zhu and Ken Ausiel.
And Ausiel with a decent climb back forward up to 12th after his incident earlier on in the race.
Kyle Herbst and Guido Waxman, this is for 30th place.
Yeah, Waxman actually was a lot higher up the order. I think had a incident occur to him, dropped a few more spots down to P30.
55th to 31st for Kyle Herbst. So he'll have to do that all over again to get a top 10 in the final race of the evening. While the rest of the finishers come across the order, let's go back and look at what happened to Colin Daner here at the... I heard this in the background. He was already sideways here. Was there some contact that led to this from one of the Delta Sport cars? Yes.
Oh, right there, and sends Daner flying off in a roller coaster.
I will say that if you're going to spin in roller coaster, he had about the right trajectory, because any other way you'd end up in this tire bundle and be stuck there.
Well, got very close to it, and now they were fighting for 6th position there, so I imagine that Daner very not happy with that, because now he's down in 17th.
All right, race results again. Another frantic 10-minute race. Robert Casero wins this one. Then DJ Alessandrini, Pilata, Lapras, and Patry. Mark Shrivastava grabbed a top 10 in that. Morgan Burkhardt dropped to 9th. And all the teammate chaos down there at turn 1. And let's look at down the rest of the order here.
Yeah, no, really what happened there, Lapras just sent it a little bit too hard on the roller coaster, trying to outbrake DJ, and just didn't have enough room to slow down.
Yeah, certainly did not work out well. We're going to go back and look at the teammate collision down there at turn 1 here in just a moment. And this is probably close to the biggest grid I think we've ever seen. And I'm actually shocked it's going as well as it is, to be totally honest with you.
Well, we still have a 3rd race to go. And if anyone's wondering why we have so many cars here at VR in particular, it's now that it's because this track is now free.
And it happens to be one of the home tracks.
Yeah, so it's a double coincidence there.
Here's what happened for the lead down here at turn 1. Big slide from the 9 of Schooler, and then right here tags the 40, or actually the 177. And then does the 48 spin on his own? Looked like he did.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, the tree's in the way. Perfect timing too. Here's the slide on the 9 on the curbing, and then right across the road. No, he caught the grass on the outside is what happened. We slow this down. Here's the 9, gets on the curb here. Slides, he's going to come back across the road. He's going to clip the 177 of Robert Casera. But then watch the 48 at the bottom left of the screen. Right there, the left rear tire drops. That's what caused that collision there. The other thing I wanted to go back and look at while we've got a moment was that issue for the leaders. Was coming back to the checkers here. The 15 just gets in here a little hot. It's tight.
Yeah, well, remember, he was significantly behind DJ, so he was just trying to outbrake him. You can see him sliding on there under braking. If DJ wasn't there, he probably would have made it.
Yeah, I'd say I'd concur with that. Here's what Robert Casera saw on board. Sees are going to part here. He'll go down the inside.
These both cars go to the outside, says don't mind if I do, and sneaks his way barely on by DJ.
With all that said, we're just finishing up warm-up here, but we are about a minute away from our 15-minute feature race. What that means, we are going for points here in a moment, and this is the only points race on the evening. So if you thought it was serious before, it's about to get a whole lot more serious up at the front of the grid as drivers fight for their championship. Morgan Burkhardt has been rock solid, but he was going to start at the tail end of the top 10, Finney. And good night for Alessandrini to pick up some points on that driver in the 48.
You're really good, and also don't count out Robert Casera. He's been running pretty well up in the front, especially in that last race, picking up pole position leading into race number 3. So we definitely want to keep an eye on it, as well as also Ken Ausiel. He's in 12th. Some may argue he's a bit out of it, but still potentially has a chance with those extra 5 minutes to catch back up to the leaders and make something happen.
There's still time. Not a lot of it.
Not a lot, but still time, yes.
Then for those at the back of the field, they're going to just be doing their best to carve their way through and grab whatever spots they can get in 15 minutes time. An extra 5 minutes here is only going to afford you about 2 laps. So you're not going to get a whole lot more times around VIR. Maybe 3. We'll see how it pans out, what the estimation is, but at most it's going to be 8 laps worth of racing, which if you're starting 56th, really only affords you time to carve your way up to about 30th or so, as we've seen.
The warm-up period has come to an end, and we're going to be gridding here for race number 3, your final race of the evening.
Heading back down to the racetrack, and good look again at VIR. And here's your field, getting set up to go racing once again. And there they are gridding. This is back in 26th. I think the number of GR86 Cup cars out in the real world that are being constructed is somewhere in the 50s. So if they were actually making them, this is how many they would have on track.
That's absolutely wild. That we somehow have more than what will ever exist in real life at the moment, at least.
I mean, I'm sure they'll make more, but I think the initial
run.
Yep. Another factor to keep in mind here, Finian, is the warm track temps. 115. You can almost cook an egg on the track temperature out there. Hot, slippery, and greasy.
Sure, some drivers are cooking under the hood after the 2 races we have. A lot of guys getting punted and shoved out of the way. Some drivers managed a little bit, I imagine, are a little bit more angrier than others. Ooh, John. No, never mind. Sorry. For a second, I was showing John Carlos Cooler to the grid. He is on the grid.
Here's a look at your starting lineup, left-hand side of the screen. And we'll cycle past 15 cars here in a moment, I'm sure. Well, let's try that again. Oh, did I break this? I think I broke that. That's all right.
Oh, yeah.
The gap one will work. The field heads down the hill, and this time it's Robert Casera in command. He'll be in control of the start of this race. Alessandrini to the outside. Andrew Pilata, Christopher Lapras, Caleb Patry, Schooler, Treacle, Robbins, Burkhardt, and Travastova wrap up your top 10. 15 minutes is 8 laps here at VIR. And the field heads down the hill, Finian. This is going to be a wild one.
Yeah, all stacking up together now for the final time. Curious to see when Crucero will go, if he'll wait a little bit longer or go immediately as soon as they pass pit road entrance.
I think they were instructed to wait just a little bit as the tail end of the field is still coming down through. And there's a look at the field. And here we go. Time to go racing one final time from VIR. 15 minutes on the board. We're racing again at Virginia International Raceway. A good clean start for Rob Casera. He leads the field down to turn number 1.
And DJ fanning out a little bit to block any moves from Andrew Pilata. Looking in behind, Christopher Lapis stuck on the outside. Will be open to attack from Caleb Patry in 5th place. There's
Shrivastava off course in the Carvana car at the bottom of the screen. Out of the shot now, but up front, Casera leads the way through turn 1, and there's some issues in the background.
So I think I hear something happened to Bob Casero, and I think he's involved in that huge pileup in turn number 1.
We'll go back and look at that a little bit later in the night when we get a better chance, but for the lead, Casera has it. Alessandrini putting the pressure on, and I think these cars, Alessandrini could afford to get by. I think you can break the draft here if you've got the speed. The DJ might try to make a pass here on Casera this lap.
Yeah, and these guys can go full throttle easily through the S's, so there's no worry here. He's just going to tuck back in behind. Trying to force potentially Casera into making a mistake. Andrew Pilata also getting a huge tow, now caught up from 3rd. Trying to make a move now potentially to Oak Tree on Alessandrini.
Casera got a really good run through South Bend there. More trouble. This is in the S's. Anthony Montello gets caught up in it again.
Oh, a huge stack up in the S's. You can see everyone stacking up from the potential contact earlier on. They somehow make it through.
There's the remainder of that stack up as they get spit out. Head down towards turn number 11.
Look like they're about to pace into the Oak Tree. They're all 2x2x2. Leaders, though, all single file because they're drafting on one another. Speaking of which, here comes Alessandrini peeking out of the draft to make a move on Casera for the lead.
Yeah, he's going to pull even with him. Similar move to what we saw in the final lap of the race.
Dive.
And really late on the brakes, and DJ gets it. I think Casera was pretty easy on the brakes there, Finney, and that helped facilitate that.
Yeah, I think it was being a little bit too cautious, being lap 1, but DJ took advantage of that, feeling more confident on the brakes, and that's really key to these cars, especially you can make up so much time and position out braking on the driver, seeing more carnage in roller coaster.
Yeah, Chrissy, and I think that was Ryan Daner involved in that one. 33 getting back on course. Ryan Carwile off on the front straightaway. That's a scary place to go off at the exit of Ogpen. You just are carrying so much speed. Look at Pilata down to the inside of the 177. That's for
almost makes contact. He has to hook it hard right on the curbs to make sure he doesn't contact with the 177 and keep it going in the right direction. Lapras all over his rear end.
Again, these cars are so...
Ken O'Seal in the grass.
Oh, boy. These cars are so challenging on the binders that Will Robbins stuck over there at the exit of the horseshoe. These cars are so challenging on the brakes that anytime I see someone diving for the lead or diving for second place up front, I always worry that they're going to loop the car. We almost saw that at the tail end of race 1, and I'm sure it could happen here again with drivers getting aggressive.
Yeah, and actually, O'Seal got on the grass trying to avoid Will Robbins, who's still stuck on the track. Meanwhile, looking back at the leaders, starting to close back up together on one solid train.
Alessandrini's got it, but breaking away will be a bit more challenging. A lot of this comes down to the run into Oak Tree. And right behind him, teammates trading positions, Morgan Burkhardt and Giancarlo Schooler and Caleb Patry, all three of them on top of each other. They have not been playing as nice as I think they were trying to tonight. They've kind of bounced off each other a few times.
Darren Treacle making a move up on Schooler, heading down towards roller coaster. Battle for 7th position between them. Haven't talked a whole lot about Darren Treacle. He's been riding quietly just inside the top 10.
Having a good night, really. He's all 3 races he's finished up inside the top 10 and in contention for this one. And you see in the background there is Colin Daner in the 88 and Michael Montello, who's rebounded from an issue of his own earlier, started 17th in this one.
Yeah, I was going to say Michael Montello, he's gone all up and down the order. Started 15th race 1 to 22nd, then from 22nd to 13th, and now he's riding in 12th at the moment.
Good rebound for him. Brother Anthony has not been so lucky tonight. Anthony Montello's down in 51st and off the track with another incident in this one. Ben Sarley and Ryan Daner were 33rd. And for the lead, and look at big dive from Lapras into turn 1. Didn't quite get alongside Pilata, but very, very close quarters here between really the front 7.
And Crusader was getting really close to the back of Alessandrini, giving him a bump drive down the straightaway. John Collar Schooler off. I think that might be internet related.
Yeah, he just kind of disappeared off my timing screen as well, so I think Schooler has had something of the sort, some technical problem. And DJ leads the field into stake. Michael Montello still got Ken O'Seal hot on his heels here.
Yeah, trying to see if he can break him. There's a car off in the grass to the left-hand side as O'Seal's trying to catch up to Michael Montello.
How much they're going to play along here. Colin Daner is about half a second up the road, and then it's 2.8 beyond him.
That's actually a really impressive recovery from Daner. Started 17th, up 9 spots to 8th. Still potentially has a chance to catch the leaders if they start to slow down a little bit.
And they will if they begin to battle, which we know is almost inevitable, but for how long? You know, Casera, Pilata, Alessandrini, even Lapras, they kind of know the game to be played, and that's making that move into roller coaster on the last lap.
Yeah, with these cars, considering how well they draft, that's definitely the move every single time, just using the long straightaways to your advantage.
The little groups of cars have segmented out here. Here's a pass for position. Carlos
Schooler
Pratt
is somehow back on the track. I am genuinely amazed because I thought the server would have kicked him out by now.
Yeah, he did reappear about a half a lap later.
And also out of the draft, lost a little bit of time because you also couldn't see anyone on the track.
That's not distracting or anything.
Yeah. Well, key thing also, not only will he lose everyone in all reference of his fellow competitors, also lose the slipstream as well, offered by his fellow cars. So that's why he's a little bit further on back, doesn't have a slipstream to work with up until now.
Another thing to mention is how fast this track is. Watkins Glen was quick week 1, but we're seeing speeds of over 125 here as here comes Casera on the outside into turn 1. That'll open the door for Pilata, who's going to go down the inside and spin Lapras around in turn 1.
Oh, big mistake for him. Almost. Going to spin back in front of Patry. He's going to get contact. And Daner also getting involved. Heavy contact.
Oh, man. And more are going to get in it. as they can't quite get off the racetrack in time, piling in there down at turn 1.
Really unfortunate. I think Lapras, he was trying to get off the track. Here's what happened here.
Ooh, no, he got hit.
He got hit yeah, he definitely got hit there. What I was saying is here he's trying to get off the track. Caught Schooler, I believe, and then caught Daner hard.
Yep, and all 3 of the Delta Sport teammates involved, and the leaders have crashed.
Oh, no.
Becerra is off. Alessandrini is off.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right. Let's go back a little further and see what happened here. While we were watching another replay, Pilata, Alessandrini, they're nose to tail here. And Alessandrini runs wide, spins back across the racetrack, and is going to collect Robert Becerra and Morgan Burkhardt all in one go.
And some heavy hitters getting kicked out early on. We had, what, 5-6 leaders wreck in pretty much within a couple turns of each other, and then that's what's left of the leading back.
3 cars, Pilata, Patry, and Treacle, who was 7th before all that started. Look at this battle, 3 wide. Lunsford, Zoo, Koback.
Oh, and now everyone in here is absolutely elated because here's a great chance of getting some points towards your championship with a lot of heavy hitters taken out.
And positions to gain up inside the top 5. That's not out of the question now as Hausil and Montello fight up the road. That was a battle into roller coaster. Look at this one now. Zoo on the outside, Crane on the inside. Ooh, boy, that's tight.
I was going to say, getting very tight again. These guys know there's more on the line, more contact as Lunsford gets sent out. Almost going to make contact with Koback.
Nice, guys. 6.5 minutes remaining. An opportunity to move forward. Alessandrini, Becerra, Lapras, Burkhardt out. All drivers that were highly competitive and at the start were dominating this one as Treacle goes by a very damaged Patry for second. Pilata ran significantly faster last time by and is pulling away.
I was going to say Patry has really no run on the straightaway, losing a huge amount of time due to the damage he has. Looking further back, a huge train of cars. What position is that for?
That is for about P12. Kyle Herbst is in the middle of that pack, looking a little bit deeper. Brian McRae, Waxman, and Peter Lausen. Waxman, remember his fight tonight. And started 29th in this one. He's back up to 16th place.
Ooh, and then off into the curbs, trying to make a move around the outside. He will look. Whoa, he's going to catch some grass, going to get punted off and hard into the Armco.
That's how fast it goes away. Just one little mistake. It's over, just like that.
Oh, and Brian McCrea up ahead, who the guy he was fighting with, he also just slipped off the side there. You see him right there, the rest of his car.
Adam Koback taking a fight to Kevin Zhu. This is for 7th.
Going to catch up to the 243.
Oh, Thomas Sadiq up the inside is Kyle Herbst. They bang doors into Oak Tree, but now door to door off of the corner. The 3 car of Lunsford using the grass. He gets a great run, kind of crowds the 89 over to the side of the track.
Yeah, these guys got to start playing nice a little bit. I mean, you have a chance of getting some really good points here. Don't throw it away.
Camden Gruber in the 24. Oh boy, this is getting real spicy, both ahead of the man in the middle of this pack.
Go back into side by side.
They get it sorted out. The rest of the pack comes in. Cloud cover over the racetrack now will cool off the surface just a little bit. Here comes Peter Lausen. They're almost 3 wide there with Peter Zhang, who's got his turn-in concepts car basically destroyed.
Yeah, I was going to say they almost split him 3 wide in turn roller coaster. That's not really going to work. Not with these cars, at least.
Hayden Coleman, Mike Leader. A lot of damage on the noses of these cars I'm seeing, and this race has had a lot more attrition. Remember race 1, we only had 6 cars out? Well, now we have 36th down to 55th off track.
Yeah, a lot of heavy attrition, which again, I'm not too surprised. Ooh, and some more cars potentially out. Will Robbins around with contact with the 4 Vincent Mack. Ooh, and some more contact. I think Greg Ginsburg just got
there's going to be a wreck
around
here, almost. Lunsford, Crane, Sadiq almost getting together at the Horseshoe, and big dive up in NASCAR. And now into the left hook for the 49 of Sadiq.
And Jonathan Crane trying to do a switchback, making some contact with Sadiq.
Finally singled it out, but that was about to be a lot more dramatic. So all that said, all the battling up for the lead for the time being has dwindled because Andrew Pilata outlasted everybody else. As they were crashing off each other, he snuck through there and now has this advantage by 2.9 seconds over Darren Treacle and Caleb Patry. And Patry can't do much to help Treacle because he's got so much damage, Finney. I don't think that car has got a lot of speed left other than sticking in the draft.
Yeah, I was going to say the only thing that's keeping him really in third place away from Ken Alcil is him getting slipstream from Treacle. Can't really do much more besides that. Doesn't have enough power due to the damage to the nose of that car.
Look at the lines forming here up the back straightaway. A lot of this behind Adam Kobach in 7th. Evan Zhu and Kyle Herbst in the 89. And 30th up to 9th. That is a really impressive climb tonight in the 89. Got some battle scars on the bumper to show for it.
And Zhu getting a big shove into roller coaster. Maybe too big of a shove. Almost goes off the track. Is just, 85. Kobach gets punted and turned around.
Oh, Kobach. What a frustrating result for him. He'll get back rolling and drop a few spots.
Had some help from Kyle Herbst, too. And there was some net code involved, we'll say that.
Yeah, I think the server must be struggling. I've heard a couple people complain about it tonight. With this many cars in here, I have to imagine that there might be a bottleneck somewhere. But here's that incident again with the 89. Didn't quite have enough space left between those two cars. And Michael Montello is...
Oh! Brian Carwell getting sent around in turn 1. He saves it. Wow.
Find where that happened. This is down here at turn 1.
Almost looked like he was going to take another car or two out in the process.
Yep, we got tagged there, and great job to get that thing back under control.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of guys when they get sent sideways just end up looping it around because they're unable to control it.
Andrew Pilata leads by 3.7 seconds, and we might be coming back to the checkers this time. About 1:10 left on the clock, Finney, and I'm not sure if that's enough time to get back around.
Oh, it might. We'll have to really see what the server decides. To see some more battles back for position.
Is the white flag waving? I don't see a white flag waving, so that must mean...
our scoring showing that we might get 8 laps.
51 seconds from the back straightaway to the start-finish line? Maybe.
I think he might get there with like 10 seconds left, if even.
It's going to be real close. 40, maybe not. I guess I haven't really had a lot of experience here with the time estimation running this close to 0. But Pilata, the fact that the white flag isn't waving at the start-finish line tells me that you're not quite there.
And Ken Alcil, he's going to enjoy having another lap. He just got past Caleb Patry. He's been trying to chase down Patry and Treacle. Treacle is the next one on his list. Who would have thought that Ken would have been finishing second after the night he's had?
I was going to say, he's had an awful night, but the points only count in race 3. And unfortunately for a lot of drivers, race 3 was their worst one of the night.
Oh, and timer's ticking down. 6, 5, 4.
Oh, with 3 seconds to spare. He could have lifted and won that race right then. But he won't. He'll go another lap. Leads by 3.7. And Kyle Herbst, Tala Sadiq, Andrew Lunsford, and this big group of cars storming down towards turn 1.
Whoa, Ken drifting through turn 1, trying to catch up to Treacle. That was really close. I'm sure Treacle would have loved the race to end 1 lap earlier.
And look at Michael Montello in P5.
Oh, Tala Sadiq making contact with John Carter Schooler. To Sadiq's going to go flying off the track, and Herbst takes advantage of that, making up 2 spots.
Drop a few more. Michael Montello and Zhu again side by side into NASCAR. This is a really tough corner to stick on the outside, so Zhu's going to try the crossover here into left hook. Doesn't have overlap.
And how about Kyle Herbst? Up 23 spots, and he's still not done it. He can make that 25 here if he can get past Zhu and Montello.
Really good run for Herbst. As I still see some drivers dropping down the order with some contacts and spins. And remember where we're going next week? We're not running the GR86 next week. We are running the GT4 cars at Bathurst. And
I'm actually hearing Jonathan Crane. Unfortunately, he underestimated how much fuel he needed. He's out of gas.
Oh, well, he wasn't that wrong. It was only going to be 5 seconds difference.
He was running 11th. That's really going to hurt for him.
Where did he end up? He's on the short course or something.
He ran out on the straightaway after Snake.
But we're on Bathurst with GT4 cars next week, which might be interesting given the field size we've had.
Go for second place. Second place, Halcyon making a dive on Treacle. Into roller coaster they go. Oh, and some contact. Treacle going to go around.
And here comes Patry to take advantage of it. Treacle was running 7th all night. He's got 11 seconds to get turned around. This battle for 5th.
Oh, he better get turned around. He better get turned around. They're coming in hot.
Boy. Oh, Zoo's out of control. Herbst is almost off course. Oh, he is out of control.
Zoo goes off. Montello is going to get 1, potentially 2 spots. He passes Treacle.
Holy cow, checkered flag now. And Andrew Pilato wins a wild one here at VIR. And
it's still hot. Treacle still trying to fight off Andrew Lunsford, charging on through. Camden Gruber also racing to the line. These guys are not giving up yet.
Treacle looks like he will hang on for 6th as Gruber and Lunsford battle to the line for P7. Going to be a photo finish between these two. I think Lunsford got him.
Oh, and Kevin Zhu, Ryan Carmel also side-by-side finish for them.
5 thousandths between those two. Let's have a look at that.
And right there, wow.
That's your finish. Oh, man. All right. Well, race complete. Race 3 was a messy one compared to race 1 and race 2, Finian, but it's over now. Let's have a look at your race results.
Yeah, I think considering, again, we started this race with 55 guys, only 35 I have counting coming to the line.
Yeah, Caleb Patry, Ken Auseal, Andrew Pilata. That top 3 isn't actually all that strange, but it was a strange way that they got there. Michael Montello up to 4th for the number 7. Where did he start this race? 13th. Really good run for Michael. Giancarlo Schooler, 6th to 5th. Darren Treacle, 7th to 6th, still an advance, even though he was set up for a 2nd had the race been 1 lap shorter. Lunsford, 16th to 7th. Gruber, 19th to 8th. Some big gains here for a lot of the top 10. 18th to 10th for Carlisle.
Yeah, and going on to the next page, the guys outside the top 10, they had pretty much massive gains. So Kyle Herbst, 30th to 11th. Andrew Chow, 31st to 13th. Peter Zhang, one of the biggest movers on the night, from 42nd to 14th. In a 15-minute race, mind you, that's a huge gain. Lausen, 35th to 15th. Deacon Greenfield, 46th to 16th. Andrew Rosencroft, 38th to 17th. And then Hayden Coleman, 44th to 18th.
Wow, good climb there for Coleman. Mike Leader and Adam Kobach make up the rest of the top 20. Here's a look at the rest of your order. And really, from everyone 35th on down, it was game over out of this race. A lot of messes kind of throughout the event, but race 1 and race 2, actually race 1 in particular was a really good event, really good clean racing. Not a lot of drivers with the outlisting at the end of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of race 1 was the guys kind of feeling out the car and feeling how the car races with one another. That's really the first time for a lot of these guys in racing conditions, battling alongside. And once they realize they can get away with a little bit, they keep pushing that line forward and forward and forward until we have 30 guys end up retiring in a 15-minute race.
Oh, man, I think there's a lot of drivers that are happy that this one is over after fighting for it all night long. But really fun racetrack, VIR in particular, is an enjoyable time here. We've got our 3rd place finisher, Caleb Patry, joining us now, P3 in the number 198. That car is battered and bruised, Caleb, but P3 after tonight. Your team had a couple missteps, a couple door slams and things, but take us through your race tonight. It was pretty wild, all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, qualified P2. I knew it was going to be close there with how close the times were. And then race 1 was running okay. I could follow Morgan, and then it looked like he just got a little loose, and I tried to avoid him, but had nowhere to go and ended up spinning, and then, yeah, lost the front end there and was kind of slow, so fell back to 17th, but race 2, just, tried to be patient but aggressive, and took advantage of a lot of cars going off left and right in front of me. Got up to 5th, which I was happy with, and then, yeah, all seemed okay in the feature race, and then things got a little haywire going into 1, and again, I had nowhere to go but into the back of one of them, so again, got damage. And then pretty much from there on out, I knew I couldn't do anything with the front end damage, so I knew my only hope was just to follow somebody and hope that something would happen in front of me.
Well, a couple things did happen in front of you, and you snuck through back into 3rd, Caleb. So that was the points-paying race, so it's going to look on the scorecard like everything went to plan tonight. I know it didn't, but hey, congratulations, P3. That's not a bad result, all things considered.
Yeah, thank you. Good speed, or a good night. I had good speed, just not a lot of luck, but I'll take a P3.
All right, Caleb, thanks for talking.
Thank you.
Second place was Ken House-Seal in the number 23 car tonight. Ken, I know it's a busy time for you at the moment, but second place after all that. It was a tough night for you. Had a couple incidents and things that dropped you down the order, but when the points mattered, found yourself second at the end of it all. Take us through your night.
Yeah, man, iRacing needs to work on the netcode for these cars. It's just terrible. The incident with Andrew, I mean, it would just be side-to-side contact at best, and I just got shoved off track. And then going down through Hog Pen, according to the netcode, I killed the guy in front of me, so sorry to Peter Zhang for that. I was nowhere near you. And then Bob Casera had the same issue with me and shoved me off in Hog Pen when I was trying to slow down for Peter. So just chaotic. And then last lap was tons of fun to work through the field in that last race. And then the last lap, I feel bad with Darren. Again, netcode, like, we were side by side, shouldn't have just killed him like that. But really, really fun. But yeah, it's getting a little frustrating. The cars are super fun. My car was super hooked up tonight, had tons of pace, and couldn't really use it. So.
Well, it was a P2, so the points will basically say that everything went great tonight for you, at least, Ken. So congratulations on that. It'll be a good rebound. I know that's been a tough season for a lot of the drivers that we typically see up front, kind of wrapping their head around this car. In particular, the brakes and trailing off seems to be a challenge in these.
Yeah, the cars are extremely challenging, and they punish any tiny little mistakes. It's really rewarding to get right, but when it goes wrong, I mean, you see what happens. Tonight was a little messy sometimes, so.
Ken, hey, thanks for talking to us. P2 in the 23. We'll see you at the mountain next week in GT4 cars.
Yeah, thanks. Next week should be fun.
Andrew Pilata got it done tonight, and after some wild racing up towards the front, Pilata sneaks through and wins this one. Round 3 goes to you, Andrew. Take us through your night battling up front. The seas kind of parted for you there in race 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I kind of won by default. It was pretty much a war zone, from what I understand, pretty much the entire field. So I guess I got to take advantage of everybody else's misfortune, but I guess I was hoping for a little bit more of a battle, but that's how it goes sometimes, I guess.
In particular, it seems like the braking has been the biggest challenge in this car. What does it do, or how do you stop it from kind of looping on the brakes? That's something I've struggled with this car, learning to drive it, especially when you get it up on curbs. So how have you managed to kind of dance around that characteristic?
Yeah, I think a big part is just being completely off the brakes, which is a little bit kind of not what you would want to do in an actual car, but I'm trying to be sure that, I basically have like 1% brake pressure or less before I turn the wheel. But then the problem gets exacerbated when you've got 50 cars on a drafty track. The draft is real strong, so you got kind of everybody trying to do the same thing going into certain turns. So that definitely makes it tricky. But basically, like you said, once the seas parted, it was pretty much just nurse at home and don't take any risks.
Well, I'm sure you'll take this one, Andrew, and a good heaping of points as well. Congratulations, and next week we're doing fun racing, Bathurst, with the GT4, so hopefully we'll see you here again.
Sounds good. Can't wait to die there, too.
All right, Andrew, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
All right, Finian debriefing VIR with this group. Tough race in race 3, but 56 cars, and this car in particular, I go to bat for iRacing a lot. I don't know that I can go bat for them on the handling characteristics of this car. I own one, and it does not drive like this. And the real car is not that different, the GR86 Cup car, from a modified first-generation twin. I think the spinning characteristics on the brakes make this extremely challenging. The other thing is that this car has the old damage model here in iRacing, which I think is as the word Andrew used, exacerbating a lot of the issues when you have contact.
Yeah, we've seen the biggest benefit for the new damage model was, besides the visual damage, which is also very nice to have, but also just the way the car contacts with other cars and also with walls was significantly improved in the way those two objects colliding interact. So until these cars get the new mid-damage model, which again it was a bit surprising that this car didn't have it on release, I think that'll be a huge improvement. And then also I think again the handling characteristics still have a little bit ways to go, because it's catching a lot of guys, especially a lot of guys we know race very well and this kind of speed and handling of car, I'm sure it's catching them a lot off guard. So hopefully we see improvements in that relatively soon.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week here. And next week, we're going non-points racing, Bathurst, Mount Panorama with GT4 cars. That should be fun. Thanks for joining us here tonight for a frantic night of racing. Hopefully, you can peel through it and find the people you're rooting on here tonight on the timing and scoring and on the cameras. We'll see you next week, climbing up the hills, Mount Panorama in Australia. We'll see you there. Kyle Heyer and Finney Nakuna bring you the action.